Okay, now let's talk about conservation of EK, which is kinetic energy. So we know that in this case, when two things are going towards each other to hit each other, there is no mechanical potential energy, there is no height, they are on the ground, so we only have kinetic energy. So if the collision is elastic, there is conservation of EK. So this is the time when they hit each other and they bounce back usually. If collision is inelastic, then the EK is not conserved because it's going to turn to heat or another form of energy. So the mechanical form of energy turns to thermal form of energy in many cases. Usually they stick together in this case, and the friction, once they actually stick together, is actually causing the heat, and so the EK is not conserved in this case. Only the EK is conserved is if the collision is elastic. So however, in both elastic and inelastic collisions, the momentum is always conserved. So let's talk about some examples, some situations when the EK is not conserved, so it's inelastic. These are hitting each other. Before they hit each other, they can stick together and just stay there. So once they're hitting each other, let's say the amount of these M's and the V's is somehow that the addition of momentum is zero. It must be zero because after collision is zero, because it is at rest, and we know that the momentum must be conserved. So this is zero, the addition. Of course, the negative, the signs of the one of them is the velocity is one negative, one positive. They cancel each other, and so it's zero. The P would be zero. The addition of the total. P would be zero. However, the EK exists. It cannot be zero because then, even though the V is one of them positive, one of them negative, but there is a power of 2 in the formula. As you might remember, the formula is actually there is a power of 2 for the velocity, so it will destroy any negativity in the number. So the EK exists before collision, but we can see that after collision the EK is not existing because it's rest. There is no moving energy, there is no kinetic energy. So in this case, the entire kinetic energy has changed to the heat. And in here, for example, there could be situation they can stick together, but they can still move, or they can just even in any situation when the EK can be reduced after collision. So part of the EK can turn to the heat, for example. And there are situations that before collision, we don't have any kinetic energy. We don't have any movement. Imagine this is here, and suddenly an explosion causes this so these two pieces to separate from each other, and a source of energy in here which causes this explosion is actually produces EK. So EK exists after explosion. So before it doesn't exist, after it exists.